On June 13th, 2017, Metroid Prime 4 was announced. That was a long time ago. And then, in January of 2019, Nintendo announced that development was going to restart, with Retro Studios actually being the proper developer this time. And now, finally, December 4th, 2025, we finally have the game. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about my experience with the game. I have played a few hours of it now. This is just my initial kind of first reactions to the game, as well as some of my thoughts and feelings on the whole launch of it. I will say that now, looking back on the release year from Nintendo, to me it's very obvious that they were wanting to release Metroid Prime 4 in October. That was the October slated game, and that Retro Studios needed 2 more months. My evidence for this was that the major October release that they had was Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, the dual set. And that always kind of, that kind of struck me as weird that they released that in October. I know that Mario Odyssey also released in October. I know that Mario kind of has an October time slot. However, the new Mario Galaxy movie is coming out in April, and the Amiibo are launching next March or next April as well. So it's obvious that, at least to me, Nintendo was going to release Mario Galaxy with the Amiibos probably in March, about a month or so before the game came out, or before the movie comes out. You play the games, you have fun, and then the next month is the movie. And it's just a big Mario Galaxy blowout. It's odd to me that they released the game like 6 months early, and then they released the Amiibo. I don't think Nintendo's really ever done that. Aside from the Smash line, where, they announce a fighter, and then, they give you the DLC, and then a few months later, they give you the figure. It's obvious that the turnaround for crafting and manufacturing the Amiibo figures is much longer than an actual physical game. But I will say that even though it's taken a while, it's taken a long time, I'm glad it's finally here. And I'll go ahead and share some of my thoughts on what I think of the title so far. So there's going to be no spoilers here. I'm actually not going to really talk about anything other than what you have heard from either the press or from reviews or from previews or nothing like that. I'm actually going to be as vague as humanly possible about this because I do not want to ruin anything. I want this first impressions to work 2 ways. You could listen to this, never playing the game, and have no idea what I'm talking about. Come back, maybe listen to it again, and maybe you'll kind of understand a little bit more of what I'm talking about. Number 1, this is the most feminine Metroid experience that I've ever had. Usually, when I'm playing a Metroid title, Samus is in a really tough suit of armor, and she's, in this really kind of hostile environment. And it's always been kind of interesting because the entire environment of Metroid has always been very masculine, very scary, very aggressive, very dominating. And even her suit is that way too. And the only part of Metroid that was ever sort of feminine to me was Samus herself. I mean, I know that there's characters like Mother Brain and things like that, but it's always kind of scary and crazy. This is the first time I was playing it where, there's a lot of flowers and there's a lot of sort of shapes and once you play it, or when you get footage of it, when you look at it, especially a lot of the enemy types, a lot of them are very, I don't want to get too perverse here, but there's a lot of feminine lady bits in this game. Like a lot of shapes and things. I don't know. It's very doorways, and I don't know. It's all very interesting, and it kind of reminds me of the inverse of Alien. So if you've ever seen the movie Alien, 1979, with Sigourney Weaver and Ridley Scott, a lot of those H.R. Giger designs are very sexual in nature, but they're all like very dark and very like black and very kind of gross and scary looking. This game has taken that same sort of idea of taking the sort of the sexual or the feminine, but making it really bright and like almost like heavenly sort of feeling. It's very strange. And that, I mean, that's only really one environment. I'm not going to say the entire game is like that. So far, I've been to, let me think about this. 1, 2, 3. I've been to about 4 or 5 different environments so far, and they are all very different. They're all very well rendered. They're all very beautiful, and the music is fantastic. I'm really loving this game, actually. The biggest critique I can have about this title, though, is that so far it has been pretty linear. Usually in a Metroid title, the opening tutorial sequence is pretty linear. You go from A to B, it teaches you how to do all of the moves, it shows you all of your suit's power-ups, and then it strands you on a foreign planet, and it takes all those away, and you've got to go find them and solve the puzzle of the planet. This one so far has been much more linear, for a lot longer than I'm used to it being, which isn't a bad thing because there's a lot to learn here. There's a lot more controls. There's a lot more things. You know, Samus has that new motorcycle now, which I was surprised at how early on you see that. I was thinking that was going to be much farther down the line, but it is pretty close to the front of the game. Now, I will say that we'll talk about the Miles McKenzie guy. That's the elephant in the room. Is what is the dialogue like? What are these characters like? What's the situation with that? Are they as irritating as people have said they are? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, to be completely honest with you, I don't think they're as irritating as people are saying. Yes, it is kind of irritating, but when I watched that preview for IGN, when it's ironically the guy's name is Logan Plant, when Logan was playing through the game, he was talking about, you know, oh, you meet up with this guy and he's with you for a long time and he just won't shut up and it's so irritating. I'm here to tell you, you rescue him from his little situation that he's in, which they showed you in the preview, and then you guys like walk around the corner and then you cross the bridge and like that's it. He's with you for like less than 15 minutes. I don't know what he was complaining about. I thought this guy was going to tag along with me for like upwards of an hour or 2. When I was playing it and he finally went to like the base camp area and like you were done with him and you continued on without him, I was like, oh, that's it? Like that's all he's going to do? That's the whole thing? That's what everyone was freaking out about? I was kind of disappointed. I was like, guys, like I think this is just one of those situations where gamer rage is just a problem, where it's like, hey man, I understand, I get it. The dialogue is cringy and it's not really good. I get it. I'm not a big fan of the character either, but I'm fine with some characters coming in and out of the story and talking to Samus and giving a little bit of exposition onto what's going on. You know, I'm not opposed to the franchise trying something new, you know. So far, so good. I don't think it's that big a deal. Yes, he does radio into you a few times, but from what I've seen so far, it's really not that much. They do a good job of just leaving you alone. And I've seen a lot of other reviewers say that, where they're like, oh, I was so worried that this Miles McKenzie character was just going to never shut up and he was just going to be on me the entire campaign. And it's like, yeah, he's kind of there for like 15 minutes and then he stays at the base camp and like that's it. Now, obviously, this is just a first impressions. This is not a full review. I haven't finished the game yet. He could show up and like want to ride on the back of the motorcycle with me and just chat the whole time. That's still possible. But I haven't seen it yet, and I have no evidence that that's going to happen. Here's kind of what I think. I have a theory as to why everybody freaked out from those previews. Here's what I think. First of all, Metroid is a very solitary kind of game. People play those games for the atmosphere and to be completely alone. And so they came in with that expectation. Here's where Retro, I think, messed up. They introduced Miles McKenzie during the tutorial of the game. Now, that's kind of a loaded, statement there because the tutorial is kind of long in this title. But usually, at least from my perspective, because I was thinking about this earlier today, what do tutorials do? Tutorials teach you the basics of the game. They show you how to do things. They have you replicate it, and then they have you do it over and over and over again because you're going to do that throughout the entire game. The whole runtime of the game, you're going to be doing those actions, whatever they may be. So, how you open doors, how you ride the bike, how you use your scan visors, all of that stuff you're going to be doing thousands of times. And your brain sort of subconsciously knows this and is like, okay, I'm learning how to play the game. I'm learning how to do this. So if they introduce an irritating character, subconsciously that's telling your brain, this guy's going to be here the whole time, barking at you. Because everything else they've been doing is going to be built on. It's going to be the foundation of the game. So Retro Studios, either accidentally or intentionally, told its audience that this irritating guy is a major part of the foundation of Metroid Prime 4. And to me, that might have been a mistake. I think you could have maybe stumbled across this guy a little bit later on, maybe in the first or second world. Like, I don't know. They could have maybe moved him around a little bit rather than having him so close to the front. But to me, that's really the only reason that people got so upset, is that they were like, okay, this guy's going to be here the whole game. He's going to talk to me the entire time. And he might occasionally, but I'll give you an example. I went to the very next world after finding him. And yes, he did radio me, but he radioed me at the beginning. He radioed me at the middle of the mission at a key point, and then he did not radio me again until the very, very end. So over the course of that hour that I was doing that whole puzzle of that world, he talked to me for 20 seconds. That's not that bad, I think people are just getting a little too touchy. Let them experiment with stuff. Let them try something new. I am not opposed to Retro flushing out the rest of this world. I think that ever since Metroid Other M has come out, everybody just hates the Galactic Federation. They just hate everything about it because they always go, oh, Metroid Other M. They overdid the Federation, and it ruined that whole game, and it ruined the whole tone, and it ruined Samus, and it ruined my childhood, and it killed my parents, and yada, yada, yada. I'm fine with them dabbling a little bit more into the Federation. The Federation, to me, is one of the things that I really haven't seen that much of. I never played Other M. I heard it was terrible, so I never touched it. I mean, I have only played, a handful of Metroid titles, mostly being the 2D games, such as, Super, Fusion, Zero Mission, Dread, and then the first Metroid Prime. I haven't played Metroid Prime 2 or 3, so there may be more Federation stuff in there that I missed. But I'm kind of interested in some of this stuff. I want to see what's going on. I'm excited to meet some of the other characters and see what's happening. I just don't think it's really that big a deal. Sorry, I'm rambling now about the Federation, but it's just something that I find fascinating about the Metroid fan group is it's just like, hey, it's just, I don't know. We'll see what happens with the rest of the title, but so far so good. I really don't have too many negative opinions. But Retro is totally back with its boss design and its boss battles. I am loving the boss battles. Like, one of the things that I love so much about the first Metroid Prime when I played it was how sort of inventive every single boss battle was. It wasn't always the same thing of, just shoot that boss, shoot some missiles at the weak point, kill him, dead, done. No, this one is similar. Every boss has a different weak point. There's a different strategy to fighting them. And it's always going to be different. Every single boss battle is like a different puzzle. You know, you want to scan the boss enemy and say, okay, what's his weak points? What's the situation? How is the best way to fight him? And then move forward from there. Like, it's classic Retro Studios. I love it. I fought a few bosses at this point. And every single time I come up to a new boss, I'm like, yes, I'm excited to see what this is going to be like. It's always fun and exciting. I don't want to say anything about them because I want them to be a surprise for all of you that play it. I'll probably talk later on, maybe in a full review if I do one for this title. But yeah, it's, you know, it's... I hate to kind of predetermine this, but so far, this might be my favorite Metroid Prime experience. I really loved Metroid Prime 1. I thought it was great. That one really does not even hold your hand and just totally turns you loose, which I can appreciate that and I love it. But I'm kind of liking the story that this one's telling. I like the alien race that you're coming into contact with. I kind of like... I'm not going to say anything about the story, but the story so far is very interesting. It's very different. When I'm playing this game, especially in the early hours, it feels like a dream. It's like this is such a strange feeling of a game, especially from Nintendo. Nintendo just doesn't usually do this kind of stuff. This is like a really sort of, I don't know, it's like an interesting experimental art film at times. It's very bizarre, very alien, but it's also very Metroid. I don't know. Like I said, it's hard to describe, especially since I haven't finished it yet, and I've only played so much of it. But I'm loving it so far, honestly. It is different, and different's okay with me. You know, I hope that this series does continue on. I hope that this is not the final one, and that's all we're going to see. But to me, if you want my opinion, I mean, so far, so good, you know. They could just totally destroy it. You know, when I turn the game on to play it today, they could just, you know, throw it in a dumpster. But, I mean, if they keep going how they've been going, this looks like it's going to be a great time to me. The one thing that I will say is that hopefully you could skip all the cutscenes, because the one complaint that I do have about the title is that because there is so much cutscenes at the front of this game, I could see replaying this game being kind of irritating. Like, as long as I can just skip those cutscenes, then great. I haven't tried to skip them yet because I'm watching them all for the first time, but hopefully that's one thing where you can just kind of, all right, let's just skip it, move on, whatever. And it would be nice if in a future update you could turn off like voice acting, because that, I think, would really give people what they want for future playthroughs. The first time, I'm going to play through the whole thing exactly how the developers intended, enjoy it. But if I want to turn off that voice acting and just have the subtitles, I think that would be great. I don't know why they would not give us that option, but so far they have not. But there you go. That's my first impressions of Metroid Prime 4. I'm loving it so far. I think it's pretty fantastic. I'm excited to see where this goes, and this feels like one of those rare games that I'm just not going to be able to put down. I'm just going to want to keep going with it. I will also give a little bit of information right now. So when I picked up the title, I got really excited when I picked up the title. So whenever I go pick up a new game out here, I always check the accessories. I always check the amiibo, and I'm always looking around, and I want to see like kind of what's going on, what's the new stuff that they release, because Nintendo of Japan does a really good job of just like dropping random stuff with the releases of titles like this. So one of my favorite amiibos of all time was the Metroid amiibo that released with Samus Returns. It was the little squishy amiibo of a Metroid crawling out of a test tube. I loved that one. It's so cool. But it was so limited, and now it's so expensive. Like, if you want to buy it online, it's like crazy expensive. I was lucky enough to snag both of the amiibo that launched with Samus Returns, opened them up, used them, loved it, and it was great. But I wanted one of the Metroids in box, like just to put it up on the shelf and kind of look at it and have it as a nice kind of display piece, because I was physically using the last one. But it sold out, super expensive. And I was like, well, at least I got one. No big deal. Well, fast forward to yesterday, I'm walking around my game store, looking at the stuff. I'm looking at the amiibos, and the way that my game store does amiibos is they have them in little DVD cases with a picture on the front of the DVD case, and you take that case up to the front, and then they give you the amiibo. I'm scrolling through looking for the Silux amiibo because that released the same day, and I'm not seeing it. So I'm looking through them, I'm kind of digging through the DVD cases, and there's like 4 or 5 of them that are on their side, like not even really displayed. I pull one out, and it is a lone Metroid amiibo from 2017. They reprinted them. Freaked out, ran up front, bought it immediately. They also had the Silux behind the counter as well. But it was list price, the same price that it was in 2017. Super cheap, snagged it. They only had one. They only had one. I was so happy and excited. I was like, this is the best. I love this. Not only that, but I saw... So I followed the Nintendo Store's Instagram pages, and the US store was saying that, we're selling Metroid stuff. So I went on the US store's website. And of course, they're not selling any of that stuff online. That's the worst thing about the store in the US. Like, I don't know why they don't sell this stuff online as well as in the store. So I went onto the Japan store. They have 6 brand new items that they are selling for Metroid Prime. I had no words. I was super excited. A while ago, like when I first moved here, they had a really nice metal water bottle for sale, and that was like it. That was all they offered you. And it was, fairly expensive for a water bottle because it was metal. But, I snagged one for me, and it's fantastic. But I figured I'd just go ahead and talk about real quick what they're selling. So they're selling there's 2 little keychains. One of them is Metroid, or one of them is like a Metroid, but it's like magnetic. So like it'll pick up paper clips and stuff like that, which is kind of funny. So the mouth of the Metroid is magnetized. The other one is like Samus in her morph ball, but the center of the, like where the light is on the morph ball, that zips open, and you can put like your headphones or like SD cards or stuff like that in there. They also have a 2-cup set, which are like metal cups. One has Samus's face on it. It's orange, and the other one's like blue. It's, that's whatever. Weirdly enough, there's like a Metroid ice tray. It's like a rubbery ice tray, and so your ice cubes will look like Metroids. That's kind of weird. And then there's like another, like, I don't know if it's metal or not, but it's like an open zipper case that you can put like your cables and like electronic stuff in there. But the big one is there is a giant pillow that is Samus's arm cannon, and you can put your arm into it and then lay on it. Like, those desk pillows that they sell a lot in Japan where you can put your arms into it and lay on it. So like you can sleep on a desk because everyone's at work all the time. That's what that is, but it's her arm cannon. So you can put your arm in it, put your head on it while you're sleeping on a desk. It's fantastic. I had to pick up a couple of these things. I just could not pass on them because I don't know how long they'll be in stock, and I don't know if they will ever restock because Metroid stuff out here in Japan is extremely rare. I was excited and shocked to see it just in general because most of the Metroid merch, believe it or not, is sold in America. Like, I whenever I want like a Metroid t-shirt or something from Nintendo, most of that stuff is in the States. It's harder to find Metroid merch out here, but it looks like Nintendo of Japan is actually really embracing this title. They're going full out here with Metroid Prime 4. I'm hoping it sells well. I know Metroid doesn't do the best out here. I know it does better in the States, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully it does well. Hopefully this is a long-running franchise. I'd love to get Metroid Prime 5 on the Switch too as well because it just runs beautifully. I'm loving this title. I'm excited to finish it and see where the story goes. But I guess that's about all I got for you today. I hear the weather's kind of crazy right now out in the States. So everybody, please go slow on the roads. Stay safe out there, and as always, take care of each other out there.